respectfully, yes, respectfully, please shut
Welcome to Late Night in Japan. We're Steph, Mike, and Tate, three Japanese guys with rich overseas experiences. In this podcast, we dive into real-life stories, the highs and lows, and the quirks of living in Japan. If you're curious about Japanese culture and what life here is really like, you're in the right place. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. Welcome to Japanese Train Etiquette 101s. Before we start the course, what do you think is the most used transportation method in Japan?
Trains, maybe? Probably.
Trains.
Well, the answer is cars.
Wait, for real? Cars?
That was a trick question.
Yeah, so cars come before trains. And this is because relatively rural prefectures like Yamagata, Akita, Toyama use cars as their main method of transportation due to the lack of public transportation.
Okay,
So-
that's fair.
Yeah, so trains are a much used form of transportation in pivotal locations for business like Tokyo and Osaka. And the most used train station in Japan is Shinjuku Station, which is in Tokyo, averaging around 650,000 users per day.
Per
The
day?
average per day.
Damn.
And the average occupancy rate for any line in Tokyo area was 202% before COVID. That means twice as many people use the train than expected. But after COVID, working from home and flexible working hours has become a norm, alleviating the occupancy rate during rush hours down to 120 to 130%.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's still over 100%. So it's easy to say train transportation has been woven into the fabric of daily life, especially in the cities. Now, there are a lot of unwritten rules when using a train in Japan. So for today, we will be discussing the do's and don'ts to avoid unnecessary conflicts and make everybody's daily train experience a better one. So, Mike, can you start things off?
All right, so to start us off, I'm gonna say, and I cannot stress this enough, but please be considerate of your surroundings and be quiet when riding the train. So
Like,
respectfully,
you sound emotional.
respectfully, please shut So like, yeah, countless times I've encountered foreigners, like, I'm not even exaggerating, but like literally shouting when talking to each other in the train, and it's genuinely a terrible experience. And if you're that person, I hate to break it to you, but everyone hates you. So, and in my experience, it's foreigners that actually live in Japan are very considerate of others because they're familiar with rules and etiquettes. But tourists, on the other hand, maybe they're either ignorant or they're just not familiar with the rules, can cause issues. So please be considerate of your surroundings when visiting Japan.
That's so true.
Yeah, like adding on to Mike, like I understand him so much. And I think all Japanese people do actually though. Recently on like TikTok or YouTube Shorts, there's a video that went super viral in Japan where this foreign guy starts bursting out dancing all of a sudden on a Japanese train with other passengers on it. And they try to start like conversations with the local people, and that really made them feel uncomfortable and like sort of scared. And that video, even the Japanese media took notice of it and they started backlashing.
Yeah.
And the train company went as far as filing a lawsuit against that guy for
Wait, for real?
disruptive behaviors.
Damn. Wait, which train company was this?
It's like Fuji, I don't know, but like
Okay, so
yeah.
more like a rural area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they went, 100%.
Damn.
But I think this just shows how much Japanese people just want to be quiet and peaceful on the train. And disrupting this can cause problems and issues like this. Even though this is a very extreme case, it's best to just be quiet and be respectful, like that.
Yeah, Japanese people are already depressed enough. We don't want our train time to even be more miserable.
Yeah, so moving on to the next point. As I mentioned before, trains in Japan tend to get crowded during rush hours, and you'll see most people, unable to sit and standing by the wall or holding the tsurikawa, the handle, during the whole ride. And in worst cases, you'll see people squeezed and packed in the car like a bundle of pencils. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's this shocking video where a station attendant is cramming people into train, and whether you're a man or a kid or an old person, you're pushed into the slightest gap possible. They're probably boosting, the occupancy rate to like 300%. Well, that's just an example, but basically, in such situations, you have to dig your way out to reach the exit. And when people are standing in front of the exit door and blocking one's way, it becomes super stressful, ultimately leading to unnecessary quarrel. So now, if you're that person standing in front of the door, please get off the train once and make way for those who are getting off. Come back on.
Amen.
I mean, imagine not moving and getting a fight inside a crowded train.
Yeah.
I mean, just move and you'll make things easier with a little bit of kindness. So please follow this rule.
I feel like you can get away with this more in the Kansai region. Because I personally live in Kansai, and the trains aren't as packed as those trains in Tokyo. So you can get away with this more in the Kansai area. But like Tate mentioned, in Tokyo, if they're crammed, especially during rush hour, they're like crammed in the trains like a can of sardines. So it's kind of inevitable. You have to get off. If you're standing in front of the door, you really don't have a choice. If you choose not to move out of the way, you're just gonna get pushed out anyways. So yeah, it's not a pleasant experience. And yeah, like Tate mentioned, just getting off can save everyone's time and make the train ride a little more peaceful.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in like Kanto region, Tokyo or Yokohama, I mean, you'll get that move from anybody. So like just like Mike mentioned, it's inevitable. But yeah, just please don't forget this rule. So, Steph, do you have anything to add on?
Well, yes, I'm not as emotional as Tate and Mike today, but my point is, just be careful which seat you decide to sit on the trains. It's pretty straightforward, but there's a few things that you should keep in mind to avoid any awkward situations. And starting off with the normal trains, there's two main types of seats. There's going to be the regular seats and then the priority seats. If you're healthy, just try to sit on the regular seats. And priority seats are usually marked with signs or stickers, so they're designated for people like pregnant women, the elderly, my pronunciation, and then people with disabilities. So and like passengers with small children. So you're okay with sitting in those priority seats, but just be careful when one of those people in the categories that I mentioned earlier come nearby. You have to move and allow them to sit there, or else it's going to make everything awkward, and that seat isn't designated for you in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's my first point. And then switching gears to the Shinkansen, or Japan's bullet trains, there's also two main seating options: the Jiuseki, which is the non-reserved seats, and then the Shiteseki, which are the reserved seats. And it's pretty simple. If you have a Jiuseki ticket, you have to find the train that is for the Jiuseki people. And then if you have a Shiteseki, then you have to go find your seat, which is already reserved. And sometimes people just forget about everything and forget which ticket they have. And the Jiuseki people just go in and just sit on a random seat that's a Shiteseki. And that
I hate that.
I've done that before, actually.
Oh, you have.
The guy came and was like, "Hey, that's my seat." I'm like, "Wait,
Yeah.
really?" And it's very awkward. So
Yeah.
and it is confusing. So, but
Yes, yeah, sometimes you're in the right seat but on the wrong car. Like 4号車の A 席、
Yeah, yeah.
3号車の A 席。
Yeah, so no, these awkward situations, I'm sure you want to avoid them. So just be careful where you sit before you decide to sit, and you'll get used to it once like you understand the rules.
yeah. And to kind of add on to that, especially for the bullet trains, the Shinkansen, you don't use it every day. So it might be more difficult to get used to compared to the normal train. But if you see like a worker, like they're more than happy to help you get to your assigned seat. Or if you're don't have an assigned seat, they'll happy to help you get to the car of Jiyuseki. So yeah, just reach out and they'll help you organize things, and it'll help you avoid, like Steph mentioned, the awkwardness.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know if this is just in Kanto, but they have green sha even for conventional lines. And so for people who don't know what green sha is, it's a seat which is more luxurious and more comfortable compared to the regular seats. And basically you have to reserve it beforehand. And I've seen a lot of tourists riding the green sha without knowing having to buy the ticket. And I've seen a lot of them ask to move to the regular car. So I don't know if if railway companies aren't, expecting that much foreign use, but this unfriendliness always makes me think railway companies have to level up their foreign language guide.
Yeah, it's not the foreigner's fault. It's the company's fault.
Yeah, I think
it
it's
is.
the system's fault.
It is very, very confusing.
So that marks the end for lesson 1 on Japanese Etiquette 101. We hope we've enlightened you with several tips to make your journey with the train a pleasant one. And lastly, we politely ask you to understand how significant train transportation is to the Japanese society, and please try to respect and follow the unwritten rules. So, thanks for tuning in for this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. Sayonara. See you next episode.
Sayonara.
Choo choo.